Drivers, start your engines!
This is MRN Motorsports Monday. 1 full hour of news, interviews, and opinion about the past weekend's racing action.
Pace car's turning off. Be ready.
Now here's your hosts, Woody Cain and Joey Meier.
Green flag, green flag.
Joey Logano wins again in the chase, but it was far from drama-free. And now all those guys who said they dreaded going to Talladega needing a win are in just that spot. In the Xfinity Series, Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth lead all the laps, but another steady run has Chris Buescher holding on to his lead. And next, the trucks are back in action at Talladega this weekend, and we'll preview that race as well with Brian Keselowski, who's going to be on the program. Also, the winning crew chief will be here, Todd Gordon. They've now won two in a row, says my partner, two-spotter, Joey Meier.
If they won twice, that means nobody else did. That means everybody else has to show up at Talladega in a cup car from second on back to 12th and race.
Nobody is safe except for Joey.
Nobody. Last year, Kyle Busch ran third and fifth in these two races, had a really nice, comfortable cushion sitting up on his high chair, going to ride around Talladega and play it safe. Got wrecked from behind.
How'd that work out?
Missed the chase. They thought they really had a good cushion, which means nobody has a good cushion. Denny Hamlin has 18 points ahead. Not a good cushion.
Of the final transfer
Of the
spot,
final transfer. That's the biggest points cushion you have is 18 points. Not
safe.
Not safe at all.
Within, from guys like, say, Kevin Harvick in 5th all the way back to Ryan Newman in 10th, those guys are separated by just six spots, 15 points there you've got. So anything at Talladega can happen. None of those guys are safe at all.
Yeah, Ryan Newman's made a profession out of points racing and still finds himself back in the 10th position, 8 points just trying to get over that barrier. But like I told Brad, we flew home last night. We were talking about finishing second. Just got to finish second or third, from a point standpoint.
Yeah.
The difference between second and 22nd is 4 car lengths.
At Talladega, it surely
That's
is.
exactly
Yeah.
right. So going in there with a mindset of, all we got to do is finish second or third, you will be wiped out in no second.
May not be good enough at all.
That's it.
The big story yesterday, of course, Joey Logano's win, but how it happened is a little more of a discussion. He and Matt Kenseth tangled late.
We know how it happened.
Yeah? Well, I mean, that's the discussion point today.
We just don't know why it happened.
Oh, well, we may never figure out why it happened. At any rate, here's how it sounded on the Motor Racing Network.
Kenseth throws the block on Logano. All the way up against a safer barrier. Logano may have made contact. They're back in 1.
Kenseth gets tagged and he spins. He squeezed Logano into the wall in turn 1. Logano got him back in 2, and around goes Matt Kenseth down onto the apron as the field scatters to the outside.
So there you go.
He blocked?
Yeah, that was Jeff Striegel and Dave Moody, by the way.
He blocked?
Yes, he did. Apparently,
I thought you weren't allowed to block. According to a 3-time champion, this is what our 3-time champion had to say about blocking years ago.
This was 2013 from Tony Stewart.
Well, Joey spun the tires on the restart, and, everybody had trouble with that. So, it's not my fault that he spun the tires. And for a guy that's been complaining about how everybody else is driving here, and then him to do that, it's a double standard. He makes the choice. He makes the decision to run us down there. And when you run a driver down there, then you take responsibility of what happens after that. So, he's a tough guy on pit road as soon as one of his crew guys gets in the middle of it. Until then, he's a scared little kid, and then he wants to sit there and throw a water bottle at me. So he's going to learn a lesson, and he can run his mouth on Twitter and stuff all he wants tonight. I got plenty of people that are going to watch for that, and but it's time he learns a lesson. He's run his mouth long enough. He's sat there and done this double standard, and he's nothing but a little rich kid that has never had to work in his life. So he's going to learn with us working guys that had to work our way up how it works. And just tired of watching these little kids whine, and then they sit there and act tough when their crew guys get in the middle of it. And it's about time. If NASCAR wants to let the guys have at it, it shouldn't be any different in hockey. Let us have at it, and then when one guy goes to the ground, then it's over.
So the reason you wanted us to hear that was it was from 2013. That's from 2 years ago. Let's be clear about that.
Yep, 2013, Joey got slow on a restart, blocked Tony Stewart down the front stretch before going into 1. Blocked him.
This was at Auto Club Speedway.
To keep the guy behind him.
Right.
Tony didn't like it very much. Joey didn't like it yesterday. Matt was clearly trying his best to keep Joey behind him.
Which he should have been doing.
Absolutely. Not just once, not just twice, but more than that. And Joey said, I'm done with it. We don't have to go back very far to hear somebody that was in the same position that Joey was.
All right, at Charlotte, we've got Carl Edwards after he and Dale Earnhardt Jr. had some contact.
It is tough. Right now it's so difficult to pass at some of these mile and a halves. Everyone is is very protective of their positions, and everyone's aggressive and trying to get every spot you can. But, it's racing, and you have to do the best you can. You got to make decisions in the heat of the moment, and every once in a while stuff happens. But I'm definitely glad that we didn't suffer any damage from it, and I wish it wouldn't have turned out the way it did to end up ruining the 88's day. But it was just tough racing.
That is Carl Edwards talking about what happened between he and Dale Earnhardt Jr. last week at Charlotte. He was talking right before the Kansas race.
At lap 70. Mm-hmm. Not for the win.
Yeah.
Not for the win.
Yeah, back in the field.
That's it.
Yeah.
Joey did what he had to do, split-second decision, going for a win. He didn't care that he'd already been in the chase. He didn't care about last week's win. He wasn't thinking forward to Talladega, Texas, Phoenix, Homestead. That didn't matter. It was a moment in time that he made a decision for the second after he made the decision. That's as far as he went. Who's right, who's wrong? It solely depends on who your driver is.
Right, because that's why I've been looking for this. I've been looking for this code book, and guys always say what it comes down to is I race guys like they race me. Right. That's what it always comes down to. In this era of the chase where boys have at it, winning means everything, you're going to have some of this. And
Absolutely.
We saw it last year. We're seeing it again this year.
And the thing about the way you race is the way I'm being raced. I don't remember Dale Jr. cutting off Carl Edwards or Carl Edwards cutting off Dale Jr. I don't remember the situation being reversed.
Yeah.
So that was a situation that was solely the decisions were based on that decision. Joey and Matt, well, they haven't seen each other around. They had a restart in Richmond that had a little bit of controversy.
Right.
When Matt ended up winning the race, clearly the dominant car. Joey didn't finish second. But those guys race each other. You don't care how the guy raced you 6 years ago, 6 months ago, 6 races ago. You're racing. You want your driver to race for today.
Right.
Today to get your car in victory lane because we were there for 3 days. The people that are happy all love Joey Logano. You know who's upset?
All the guys fans.
All the guys that love Matt Kenseth.
Right.
The Brad Keselowski fans are like, that's cool for Team Penske. The Carl Edwards fans go, that's boo for Joey Logano or Joe Gibbs Racing. Dale Jr.'s fans don't give 2 iotas what happened yesterday other than Dale Jr. had a loose wheel.
Yeah.
That's what they care
that
about.
Hurt, right?
That's
hurt.
exactly what they care about. Kevin Harvick fans, they don't care about what happened. We got a gas can stuck in our car. We lost points yesterday.
Yeah.
So it only matters who your fans are to kind of predict whose fault it was.
Right. Now, here's the thing. What if the 2 car had been leading in that situation? Does Joey get as aggressive with the 2 car as he did the 20?
I hope to go to Homestead and be in that position.
Well, that's my point is it's a little different
if
it's the very last race versus the second one in a round.
But if you're going for a championship, are you going to spin your teammate out?
That's what I'm asking.
I hope my driver's running second and he spins the teammate out to win the championship.
Okay.
I hope he does.
All right.
You know why? Because then they call me 2-time champion.
All right, there we go, everybody. Now the logic is starting to come through. Hey, we've got a really big show for you here today. As we mentioned, Todd Gordon, the winning crew chief for Joey Logano over at Team Penske, is going to be along to tell us how they've won 2 straight races and how things set up for them for the rest of the chase. Also, we're going to be previewing the upcoming truck race at Talladega. The Camping World Truck Series is back in action. Brian Keselowski is driving Brad Keselowski, his brother's truck at Talladega. We'll talk with him about that on the program. We've got On Track, Off Track coming up as well, where Joey and I talk about the things that are going right and some things that maybe aren't going so well on the program. We'll play along with you on Twitter at MRN Radio. Use the hashtag AskMRN. Mine is at WY Cain. Joey's is at 2 Spotter if you want to play along with us. Also, our fan forum hotline, 844-4AskMRN for questions or comments. We're going to take a quick time out here on the program. When we come back, Brian Keselowski joins us.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
There's a more economical way to travel, and that's with the Tom Johnson Camping World RV. Whether you're heading for excitement at the track or serenity in the mountains, get there for less and you can go more often. Find the RV that fits your lifestyle and your budget from anywhere in the country at TomJohnsonCamping.com. with available nationwide delivery and one of the largest inventories in the country. Check out our locations in the Blue Ridge Mountains, at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, or online at TomJohnsonCamping.com.
Hi, I'm Jeff Burton. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Heading to Talladega Superspeedway this weekend, it has implications for the chase, the last race in this round, and it'll be, for all intents and purposes, 4 more drivers eliminated, and likely one of Matt Kenseth or Dale Earnhardt Jr. will not move on.
Without a cataclysmic failure of epic proportion. I've been wanting to say that.
Yeah, you've been practicing that one,
See how
huh?
that rolled right off
Pretty
my
nice,
tongue.
yeah.
One of these 2 drivers will not make the next eliminator round, Dale Earnhart Jr. or Matt Kenseth.
And, boy, that Kenseth has been one of the strongest cars all year long.
Strongest cars was one of my guys that I picked for the last 4.
Me too.
From the Joe Gibbs Racing camp. Dale Jr., obviously a fan favorite, trying to get his first championship in the series after winning a Busch championship 2 years in a row. Fan favorite, most popular driver, the epic legacy son of 7-time champion. So we need to get him in the eliminator round. One of those 2 drivers will not go. Period. It's unless
and they both got
they're just too far
credentials
behind
to be there. Yeah,
Matt 35 points, Dale Jr. 31 points back. They essentially have to have 20 cars in front of them wreck, and they finish first and second. And mathematically, they're not out of it, but logistically, they are, because the fields at Talladega tend to be 30, 35 cars deep.
Here's the thing, a big wreck, and you could finish 30-some spots ahead of 6 or 8 guys.
Yes.
It's just not very likely, and it's even less likely that both of them can do that.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That's why Matt was pushing so hard to stay in front of Joey. Joey obviously had the faster car. That's how he got to the bumper of Matt Kenseth, was chasing him down. Matt knew limited number of laps. I got to keep in front of Joey. It's my realistically best chance, best opportunity right here to lead all these laps in Kansas, walk away with a victory, and then go to Talladega breathing a sigh of relief.
He led, 153 or 154 laps and did not get the win. 153 laps and did not get the win. We've seen guys do stuff like that this year a couple of times before. A guy who led a bunch did not get the victory, and it's a kind of a different ball game now versus years past when it was just consistency, or even when the chase was not divided into segments. When it was a 10-race battle, you could have a mulligan. Well, you can still sort of have a mulligan, but it's not nearly like it used to be.
All right, so our weekend, to put this in a nutshell, our weekend started out by us sitting on the pole. The 2-car was extremely fast. Come race time, we actually had a bad day by our standards. Our teammate won the race. Ryan Blaney, who was in our 3rd car out of the Wood Brothers shop, he finished in front of us.
He had a good race.
We were the last car that was built by Team Penske. Had a terrible day. Top 10. That's how hard.
A terrible day is a top 10, yeah.
That's how hard and tough this competition is. When you go back and you look at the finishers, you have Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, you have Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, Brad Keselowski, Jeff Gordon. Those are your top 10. They're all in the chase.
Yeah.
Every one of those guys are in the chase. The only ones that aren't in the chase is Jimmy Johnson, Casey Cain, and Ryan Blaney.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
See how it always fits?
So that's how tight the competition is. So you can't afford to show up somewhere and go, okay, I'm just going to point race them. Because last year we saw this with Ryan Newman, who finishes 2nd at Homestead. He could have won. Except for one thing, the guy in front of him was in the chase, and he won the chase.
Well, but remember, at Phoenix the week before, he had to rough up Kyle Larson just to advance to the final round.
Interesting story. Jeff Gordon at Phoenix crosses the start-finish line. He's in the next round. He's going to go to Homestead after Phoenix and race for a championship. Ryan Newman gets into Kyle Larson in turn 3 behind him. He crosses the start-finish line, 1 spot through him. Boom, Jeff Gordon's out of the chase.
Yeah, you're bumped.
Yeah,
just like
so
that.
Jeff Gordon finished the race making the chase until Ryan Newman finished the race, and he wasn't in the chase. That's the competition level. And now we're going to go to Talladega, where, again, 2nd to 22nd is 5 car lengths, and we have 4 drivers that need to beat 6 other drivers.
It's going to be a mess. It's going to be pretty intense for sure. And also, the Camping World Truck Series is going to run. They've been off now for a couple of weeks, so they'll be back in action at Talladega as well. That's always a fun race. I remember a few years ago I was down there when Ron Hornaday wound up on his lid in one of those races, so it is a crazy atmosphere for the trucks as well.
Everything they're doing to a sprint car and the Xfinity cars nowadays at a super speedway, Daytona and Talladega, is modeled off how good the trucks do. They don't have goofy wickers and different blades and all this goofy stuff. A truck is just a brick.
It punches a bigger hole in the air.
It's just a brick and provides really good drafting, really good slingshot ability. We can drive around comfortably, and the speeds aren't excessive. We run around a high 180. I say excessive.
Yeah.
We're not going in excess of 200
Define
miles.
excessive.
Yeah, we're not going over 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
These trucks punch a very good hole, very good racing hole. Everything we do in the Cup car and Xfinity car is based on trying to get them to race like a truck.
Mm-hmm.
And when we go to Talladega, those guys will go 2, 3, 4 wide without a doubt. The trucks are such good flat-bodied that you can skim them against the wall without being damaged so bad that the car won't race.
Right.
You know, so that's what makes them. These go they beat and bang down the backstretch. If we do that in a Cup car or an Xfinity car, those cars go right to the back because they're so aero dependent.
Yeah, they really do. Let's get back to this notion of what's viable and what's not viable, what's within the code and what's not within the code. Dale Earnhardt Jr. talked after the race at Charlotte. This is number 3, Craig, after he and he and Carl Edwards had gotten together.
Yep.
And here's what he thought about it then.
Carl got a great run on us and drove down into one and got in the back of us a little bit. I don't know if I cut him off or not, but he drove in there pretty hard and ran over the left rear quarter panel of the car and got in the fence. They had the 51 blew a line off of power steering hose or something, and they put some speedy dry down in the middle of 1 and 2. That's where everybody thought it was. You know, if they put speedy dry down where the oil is, we're all good. So I went into turn 1. A lot of us did on that restart and went around the speedy dry and right into oil. There's oil up on the top. They didn't clean up, so we smashed the fence hard. That was the worst thing that could have happened to us because we just got 1 lap down and was going to race for the lucky dog. And then that was the rest. Our day was over after that. We had a good enough car to run in the top 20 even after smashing into the fence a bunch. And some other guys had trouble, and some other guys will have more trouble. We got to stay positive, and we can still make it to the next round. We got some 2 good tracks that I think we can run real well at, if not win races at. So we didn't put ourselves in a good situation, but we were in the same round, same boat last round. So.
There you go, Dale Earnhardt Jr. after the incident with he and Carl Edwards at Charlotte the week before.
Yeah, he didn't bring up driver code.
Mm-hmm.
The only people that bring up driver codes most of the time are the guys that have been done wrong. And they feel like I was done wrong or you were done wrong. You're going like, that wasn't the code we lived by.
Right.
We heard yesterday he didn't drive like a man. Well, I don't know if Joey didn't drive. I don't know what he was driving like if he wasn't driving like a man.
Yeah.
Okay, that was one of the most manly decisions he had to make during the entire day. Do I ride around in second knowing I have a win in my back pocket and I can go to Talladega with no concerns whatsoever, or do I take this race car and take the lead and win this race that my guys and my crew chief and my owner are sitting up in the grandstands watching this race would want me to do? And
Right.
that was a manly decision.
But again, I go back to, is he content to ride and be a wingman if the 2 cars leading in that same situation yesterday, knowing that it can get 2 cars from Team Penske into the next round?
Man, it's...
I mean, I'm asking you to read somebody's mind basically here.
We have raced together last year. We had to win Talladega.
Mm-hmm.
Joey was right there in the top 5 all day long.
Yeah.
He had opportunities to get by people and race. So I don't want to say that they're going to wreck each other. I would like to think they're going to race each other the exact same way. Not harder, not less hard. They're going to race each other and be competitive to the point that, you know, at the end of the day, you want to come across first, second. But I promise you, if my driver's second and he doesn't wreck the first place guy to win a championship, I'm upset.
Right, absolutely. But that's the last race at Homestead.
Yes.
We're talking about different rounds here, and I guess what it comes down to, what I'm trying to get at is it depends on what your circumstances and what your mindset is at the moment rather than some mythical driver code book that exists somewhere.
The code book only, what I was meaning to say earlier, the code book only exists when you feel like you've done wrong.
Yeah.
That's it.
Then you
pulled
rely
out this
on the
code book. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And we've seen it repeated different times at different situations through the years. We got to take another time out here on Motorsports Monday. We've shifted Brian Keselowski to the 12:30 segment. Up next, though, we have Todd Gordon coming up, the winning crew chief for the Shell Pennzoil Ford.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
The road to victory lane isn't just for drivers anymore. Introducing the official daily fantasy game of NASCAR at DraftKings.com, America's favorite daily fantasy sports site. Just pick a team of 5 drivers and stay under the salary cap. Outscore your opponents and win. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code COAST to play for free. You could win part of the $1 billion in prizes being awarded this year. Enter COAST to play for free now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
Waking up to smells of burnt rubber, smoldering campfire, and barbecue sauce. I was there, cheering on the drivers you love and booing the ones you don't, while watching them battle the baddest track in NASCAR. You can bet I was there. Escape reality for a weekend at Talladega.
The chase for the Sprint Cup returns October 23rd through 25th. Call 1-877-GO-TO-DEGA for tickets. This is more than a race. This is Talladega.
Hey, I'm Austin Dillon. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Joey Logano off turn number 4. He sees the white flag. One more trip around Kansas Speedway. Denny, 3 car lengths back. Then comes Jimmy Johnson and Casey Cain. This one's not over with yet. The lead is down to just a car length and a half. Here comes Hamlin, bottom of the racetrack. Logano right in the middle. Johnson way up at the top. It's Joey Logano to the backstretch for the final time.
Here they come off the end of the backstretch. It's now 3 car lengths the advantage. Johnson 1 second from Hamlin. Logano's trying to go back to back in the chase as he leads off turn 4.
Joey Logano won a week ago at Charlotte. He will do it again here at Kansas. Back-to-back victories for Joey Logano. He crosses the line. He scores the win in the Hollywood Casino 400.
13th career win and his 250th start for Joey Logano. The Shell Pennzoil Ford goes to victory lane at Kansas for the second race of this round of the chase. And the crew chief, the winning crew chief, joins us on the guest line now, Todd Gordon. Todd, welcome to the program, man. You guys have it going on right at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a good chase so far for us. Hope to keep the momentum going forward.
Hey, Todd, congratulations. You know, it's just epic to sit back and watch. It's a little thorn in our side, obviously, as your teammate not being able to perform up to your standards so far. I just want to point out that, you know, we asked you to be on the show last week, and you turned us down.
I can't blame you. I don't want to talk to him either, Todd.
But I'm glad you won 2 weeks in a row so that we got to call you again. And the other thing I have to ask you, did you enjoy your victory yogurt ice cream?
Always good.
Oh, good.
Always good to land and get a little frigidness to a cold landing, but definitely a good time. But yeah, last week we had to work on making this one happen. So we had a couple meetings during the middle of the day and on Monday. Don't have one of those today, so open up the opportunity to come on today.
You know, after winning Charlotte, you show up and not having any pressure for Kansas or Talladega, which is next week, because with the win, you're already moved on. How do you keep energized, or how do you keep the people around you energized for Kansas to be able to go out there and win that race?
Well, I mean, it's all about momentum, and really Kansas has been a great racetrack for the whole Shell Pennzoil team, and since Joey's been over here, we've really kind of clicked on what that track needs to be successful, and we've had a lot of really good runs there. Kind of shot ourselves in the foot. Poor execution in the spring. Had a pit road penalty, and then coming to pit road penalty as well, and still managed to make our way back up to 5th. And it's been a really good racetrack for us. Actually, if you look at the chase, in this section of the chase, that would have been the racetrack I was looking as our best opportunity to get a win and to be able to take the pressure and anxiety out of Talladega. Fortunately, we were able to execute that at Charlotte, and still had the same. You know, your preparation's weeks out, so we still had the same focus and preparation going into Kansas. And you know, we struggled a little on Friday with qualifying, and obviously you guys had great speed Friday, and even through practice with the Miller Lite Ford. It was good to see my teammate that way and see where everything was going. I love how we work back and forth, but the race kind of came to us, and a good opportunity.
Todd, one of the things that I think a lot of people kind of overlook is it seems like Joey Logano has been around forever, but he is still very, very young, and yet he has sort of a veteran's experience to be so young. How is that benefiting you guys now as you go through this chase format for the second time?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's got a lot of bandwidth and development ahead of him, but you look at it, Joey is a 25-year-old with 7 years of Cup experience. That's unheard of, you know, by anybody. So. Yeah. His maturity and within his 25-year-old body, you know, he's mentally at a level that's great. He's still developing talents, and his ability to just continue to elevate his game. It's been remarkable to watch through the 3 years he's been here, and look forward to where that can go. I think he's still got more potential that's untapped.
One of the unique things I think I hear when you guys run good, and I'm guessing you hear it when we run good, is, well, why don't you just put the 22 setup in, or why don't you just put the 2 setup in? Explain to our listeners exactly how detailed both teams do share information, as you mentioned before.
Yeah, I mean, we could build cars identical. It's just we've got 2 drivers that have a lot of similar characteristics, but we understand the differences in some of the things they look for, and our cars are. Up to the point that you talk about. The car that Brad ran this weekend could have been a 22 car as its last outing. We don't believe in separate race cars. There's one pool of race cars that we share, and however they come through the manufacturing process, they can flip flop back and forth, and our drivers can hop in either car. But there's certain characteristics that Paul Wolf and myself, and even engineers, we understand the differences in what we need in success and what our drivers need for success. There's an offset, and we know where we're different, but we definitely know what the trends are between the two, and we share, I mean, all the time, even during practice. We've got access to each other's changes and run logs and comments and what's going on, and knowing exactly what's worked for one, and then we can take those notes back, after everything's done, and ponder on them overnight and see where everybody's seen some gains and where they've seen the drawbacks, and try to put the best rate package forward going to race day. It's worked very well. It's a great I think a great environment of led by the 2 drivers that they really appreciate each other and like each other and challenge each other to be better.
Chatting with Todd Gordon, the crew chief on the Shell Pennzoil Ford after their victory at Kansas Speedway yesterday. And Todd, I want to take you back to something you said after Charlotte that I found fascinating. You mentioned that after that win, we probably wouldn't see that car again in the chase because of your manufacturing process. And I hear guys on other teams saying, boy, I really like this car at this place, and we're going to use that one again here and that one again there. Why don't you guys do that sort of thing, and how unique is it?
Because we've got processes in-house that allow us to build identical race cars, and as you're doing that, then you don't become fascinated or fixed with this car is great. Yeah, the Charlotte car was really good. This is a whole different race car that we took this weekend, and we won with it. So as our processes go through, and as our aero department finds more gains, and as our chassis department finds more gains, they get implemented into the process. So the car that we ran last week at Charlotte that was really good. I feel like we'll have a better car going to Texas this the next mile and a half race we've got. And then once we get to that, there's a few more updates that they'll continue to slug on, and they'll get implemented into the Homestead car. So not necessarily attached to any chassis number, just trying to make our best pieces coming forward, and the repeatability that our manufacturing guys have got here at Team Penske is phenomenal and allows us to do that.
Yeah, wrapping up our Monday morning chat with Todd Gordon, 2-time winning crew chief, 2 times in a row winning crew chief Todd Gordon, 5 times this year. Now you're in the eliminator round. We have to go to Talladega, which I know you're going to have a blast at. It's a great race, but you have Martinsville, Texas, Phoenix for the eliminator round. Which race makes you nervous, and which one makes you excited?
All 3 make me excited. And just if you look at our ability and our performance, I think we've had multiple top 5s at Martinsville, led a lot of laps there. Just missing a little bit to get there, and we're working hard on trying to find that. But Martinsville, I think, is the place that can be the outlier too, because it's short track racing. It's you're stacked up. You're not. There's no aero bubble between you and the car behind you. The only bubble that's there is maybe a decal on somebody's nose. That's the one where you've got to go ahead and execute. You can't put yourself in a hole and take care of fenders and make sure that you have a good race and go forward from there. I love Texas. We've had a lot of success at Texas, and we've really run well at Phoenix. But we've got to work a little harder to match the 4 cars speed and dominance at Phoenix. Kevin's been phenomenal when he gets to that racetrack, and we've got a little bit to catch up to there. So 3 racetracks that we can run really well at. Look really forward to all 3 of them. But the anxiety level is probably more Martinsville than any place else to start with.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if this feels as intense as a year ago. I'm expecting maybe it even feels more intense for you guys right now, doesn't it?
Boy, it sure does. The level of competition of all the cars that are in the chase, it seems like there's so much parity. There's so many teams that have stepped up and gotten to that level that it takes to be through the chase, and you have no point separation. I think I was looking at it. I'm just working off of memory, but it's single digits from fourth to ninth. I think in points right now, and that's the back half of what makes the chase and what makes it on to the next round and the car that goes home. So it'll be pretty stressful going to Talladega, but definitely tons of teams that are able to elevate and be very successful.
Well, Todd, congratulations on another strong run for you guys. Look forward to seeing you at Talladega and then the next round as well. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Todd. Great run for them, and to win 2 in a row in a round is pretty much unheard of. I know this is only the second year of this style, but still, that's pretty large.
Joey Logano was 25 years old. He is.
Yeah.
7 years of Cup experience. Todd Gordon, who's his elder, 4 years as the crew chief.
Go figure that.
In the Cup car. In the Cup car.
He's
He's got multiple years in the Xfinity and beyond as an engineer. But, the driver has more experience at 25. So I find it interesting.
All right, we got to take a timeout now, and we promise when we come back this time we will have Brian Keselowski.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
This is Steve Post.
And I'm Kendra Jacobs.
Join us every Saturday morning at 9:30 Eastern Time for MRN's Wing Nation on MAV TV.
We'll talk with the biggest names in wing sprint car racing, from the world of outlaws to your local wing sprint car track. We cover it all.
Plus, we'll preview each weekend's biggest wing sprint car races from around the country.
MRN's Wing Nation, 9:30 Eastern Time, Saturday mornings on MAV TV.
If you don't get MAV TV, go to getmavtv.com to find your local TV provider and let them know you want MAV TV.
This Wednesday night, join the Motor Racing Network for MRN 360. It's a full circle look at the sport of NASCAR, hosted by Steve Post. This 1-hour show will take you from the track into the lives of your favorite drivers.
Can't guarantee anything, that's why we run the race.
Even the fans have a voice on MRN 360.
Personally, the guy doesn't belong in NASCAR. I think he's too hot-headed.
It's MRN 360 this Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Motor Racing Network.
Hey, I'm Jeff Gordon. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Back on the program, and as we mentioned, the Camping World Truck Series in action this weekend at Talladega Superspeedway as well. And one guy who's excited as anybody joins us on the guest line now. Brian Keselowski will make his debut in the Camping World Truck Series, driving for Brad Keselowski Racing in that number 29 Cooper Standard Ford. Brian, welcome to the program, and I guess you're still kind of pinching yourself, huh?
Absolutely, yeah. It almost doesn't seem real, that's for sure. Never would have thought this would have happened in Talladega of all places. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited about it.
Brian, one of the things before we get going to Talladega is you just got to wrap up a very successful ARCA series. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce your driver's last name. Do that for me.
It's another one of us Polish guys. So, yeah, Matt Krzyzewski.
There you go. So in order,
got a lot of U's, R's, Z's, J's. Yeah, it's all kind of confusing.
Yeah. So you had in the ARCA series, you were able to pull off the Hoosier Super Speedway Challenge, a certain number of tracks, and you guys performed really well. Do you find yourself at an advantage as a crew chief being an ex-driver or a current driver?
I find so. Obviously, I was actually a mechanic before I was ever a driver, so I've done it a little different than most have probably. But for sure, when Matt goes out there and says he's feeling something and it's kind of funny, and I can kind of relate a little bit more to what I think he's feeling, and then try to apply that to the car and see if we can fix it. So I think that helps out quite a bit. I've got some crew chief experience beforehand, but this is the first time that we've run as much as we had, especially with Matt. So he was a pretty raw rookie getting into the intermediate tracks, and we did a really good job of just finishing the races where we needed to. We led a few races, had a good shot at winning a few of them, and just had a really good, consistent season and learned a lot about what we needed to do to keep getting better.
Chatting with Brian Keselowski, who will drive the number 29 Cooper Standard Ford at Talladega Superspeedway this coming weekend. Now, you haven't been in a truck before, Brian, but you do have some Sprint Cup starts, including some Superspeedway experience at Daytona. So knowing that, what do you do to get ready to race a truck at Talladega?
Well, I did, kind of my due diligence in watching the races from the years past, especially last year. The truck I'm going to run is the same truck that Ryan Blaney finished top 5 with there last year. So watching that race and try to learn some, what the trucks have been doing, the drivers that I'm going to be racing with. I haven't had a chance to race with a lot of those guys, and each one of them has their own style. So, who to watch out for, who to try to work with. So that's the best I can do is just kind of go with that. Obviously, I've never been in a truck, but I do have some experience both in the Nationwide Series and in the Sprint Cup Series, running at Daytona and Talladega, and have had pretty good success with equipment that really wasn't top notch at all. And it was my own equipment, and I got to admit it wasn't where it needed to be, but we still ran pretty well. So I think I've got a good shot at this one.
Yeah, made the Daytona 500 several years back with you and your brother in the same race. As we move forward to Talladega, I'm going to have the privilege of spotting for you. I look forward to this. But let's not kid ourselves. You're going to have a yellow bumper at your first stripe. We're not just going to ride around, are we?
I don't plan on it, no. Pretty much the only thing, and nobody's really told me any different yet, so I'm just going to go with it. Pretty much the only thing I know I can't do is mess up the 19 truck. So I don't want to do something stupid to mess him up because he's going for the points championship, and they need to be able to do that. That does not mean I don't want to go there and win that race. I'm going to do everything I can. I just can't turn the 19 truck to win the race, so that can't happen. But
that's the driver.
Other than that,
that's the driver code we talked about earlier.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Buddy.
So what about that, Brian? Is there such a thing? We were talking about this earlier as a driver code. Are there lines you cannot cross, or when you get in the heat of the moment, coming down to the last lap? Is in this era, is it pretty much fair game?
It's not fair game. It never really has been, but each driver has their own code. And this is something I learned from my dad and from years past of watching races and everything. Each driver has their own code. Some do it a little different than others. Personally, I kind of have the 3 strikes and you're out rule. I'll let you get in once, maybe the next time, but the next time you try to block me, it's not happening. So, sometimes you have to take care of business, and that's the way it goes. Each driver kind of has their own. I kind of felt Joey was in the right on his end, but that's kind of me as a driver. Usually, if you block a guy, you get maybe 1 or 2 shots at it, and then pretty much he's going to take care of you after that. So, things happen. That's the way it goes. Daytona Talladega is a whole different story again. You have to be able to block guys to get into the lines, get into runs, and you can't sit there and wreck a guy. But there's certain things you never do. You never hit the guy in the right rear corner because that's like the driver's worst fear ever. The exact thing that happened to Austin at Vegas, the reason I'm even in this ride, is the worst fear of any race car driver. And to do that to a guy on purpose is really bad. To get it done on accident is probably about the worst thing that could happen. So there's different things. Each driver has their own code. But everybody has to race within that code. And once you race a guy long enough, you kind of understand what he thinks and what he's going to take and what he's not going to take. And I guess Joey decided that was enough.
Yeah, one of the things in 2015, we haven't heard your name, in the Major 3 Series, but that doesn't mean you haven't been very active. Give us an idea of what's kept you busy just this year alone.
Well, just this year, initially with Matt as a driver, we were going to run just Daytona and Talladega because of some of the new rules that have come up in the ARCA Racing Series with the spec engine rules that allowed us to run more races. So we went and purchased another super speedway or downforce type car and got to run more races there, and that was actually very fun. I enjoyed what we did there. So plus it doesn't hurt when you run well, so that never hurts anything. But then I also built my own new composite car that we run on the short tracks for the ARCA Series, and got a chance to run that 3 times, and actually had a really good shot at winning Salem, Indiana, in the last race that we ran. Just didn't really work out. We ended up 6th at the end. The tire deal was kind of a little bit messed up, but all in all, we had a pretty decent year. I was pretty happy with how we finished it, and now I get a chance to keep that going.
Chatting with Brian Keselowski, who will be driving the number 29 Cooper Standard Ford at Talladega Superspeedway this weekend in the Camping World Truck Series. You mentioned Austin Theriault a little bit earlier, who was injured in that wreck at Las Vegas. Have you spoken with him about the truck and the team and gotten any insight there?
I haven't had a chance to actually speak with Austin himself. I know he's been here to the shop at Brett Keselowski Racing, but I haven't been around a whole lot. Obviously, I still had some of my duties to go with the ARCA team, but I know I spoke to the team. He's getting better every week. They're really hopeful that he can make Martinsville, but they have to get through some tests and make sure that he's in good shape. So it's probably a good idea not to do Talladega because, God forbid, if anything did happen, he's already injured. That'd just make it worse. So Martinsville is one of the tracks. While I'm sure having a compression fracture in your back, it's not going to be fun to drive around Martinsville. It's probably one of the tracks that you are going to be able to make it through. So hopefully he gets a chance to come back. I know it's his ride, so I'm hoping that he gets a chance to get out there and do what he needs to do. Obviously, he's a rookie too, so he needs his experience. But, I'm just pretty excited about the chance that I get.
Yeah.
Wrapping it up with Team BKR's rookie driver, Brian Keselowski. It sounds kind of interesting. Do you look at your brother today as a team owner or still your brother?
Still brother.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, his team, he has some really good people at his team, and he kind of lets them run it. So that's kind of the neat thing about how that works. He lets them guys do their job, and that's their team. And he's my brother, So obviously, I haven't had a chance to sit down and talk with him a whole lot, mostly just through text and whatnot. But he's been pretty busy with what they're doing on the Cup side, and we talk when we can. And I seen him before Charlotte, and that's when we kind of all talked about this a little bit. But definitely, I feel like I'm more treated as a driver and get a chance to go win the race, and that's what I want to do.
So, who broke the news to Mom that you're going to be doing this, and what did she think?
I think Fox Sports did.
Uh-oh. And now you're both grounded, right?
Well, I don't blame him for not maybe wanting to say that, because Daytona and Talladega obviously are one of the more dangerous racetracks that we go to, because it's not always in your hands. But she's actually spotted for me at these type tracks before, so it is the way it is. So I think she'll be just fine with it when she knows I'm getting in a good truck and get a chance to really run well.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, congratulations on this opportunity. Make the most of it behind the wheel of that number 29 BKR Cooper Standard Ford at Talladega.
Absolutely. I plan on it. Thank you, guys.
Don't forget you got a rookie meeting to go to.
Oh, boy. He's starting already. You're going to hear this all weekend long, so you might as well get used to it.
I haven't been a rookie in a series like that in a while, so that's all right. I'll go to a few rookie meetings.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
How about that? So now you're going to wear him out, right? Was that what it's going to be?
It's Brian Keselowski, nicknamed the Bull.
Oh, yeah?
And it's
where'd that come from?
I actually don't know. I don't know.
Well, you should have asked him.
Where do any nicknames come from? Somebody gave it to him. It just stuck.
Is that like mess with the bull and you get the horns?
You talk about a family-driven company.
Mm-hmm.
Bob was the crew chief. Brad or Brian had driven. Kay was spotting. And
I had no idea until he said that. Yeah.
It's actually one of the first times I had met Kay was on the spotter stand when she spotted for her husband Bob back in the truck series years ago. So
did she scold you about the way you spot? Is
no,
that what goes on here?
No.
Does she shake a finger at you? Go, look here, Joey.
Luckily, the drivers that I had spotted for and the drivers that she was spotting for never had the Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano issues.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yes. So and then now we see each other, and she's now a grandmother, and so we see her at the track a lot more. But that's how tight knit that family is.
Yeah.
Brad is the younger brother, of course. The older brother always beats up on the younger brother, and Brad will tell you stories like that. But Brian, his dad Bob, and Bob's brother Ron work on, and Brian didn't mention it, but they work on a salt flats car and actually have several world records for speed as a stock car style design out in the salt flats, and that's what keeps them busy as well over in the shop that was down the street from the old truck shop.
Pretty
cool.
So
Brian's been very busy. A number of things. Was a Richard Petty driving instructor for years. Late model. He's been very, very active in the sport for a very long time. Not just his brother, who everybody knows as the guy that nobody likes.
Okay, on that note, we'll take another time out here on Motorsports Monday. When we come back, we'll do on track, off track. We'll take your Twitter questions as well at MRN Radio. Use the hashtag AskMRN. More in a minute.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Buckle up, NASCAR Nation, for the ultimate driver tell-all. NASCAR After the Lap, sponsored by Ford and Sprint, is back for a 7th year in Vegas. See the 16 challengers in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, live on stage at the Palms in Las Vegas, December 3rd. Don't miss this unforgettable must-see event of the year. Visit NASCARAfterTheLap.com to purchase tickets. That's NASCARAfterTheLap.com.
Hey, I'm Kevin Harvick. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
You have to get after Harvick a little bit. He needs to pick on you a little bit. That's kind of the thing. They all need to pick on you.
He's got a code he has to live by.
Here you go. Pulling out the code book already. All right, let's talk a little bit of on track, off track. I know you have been waiting for this one for quite some time, so fire away.
They made it official.
Yeah?
Low downforce package for 2016.
Yeah, but it's a little bit different, right?
Cat's out of the bag. Yeah, they took the radiator pan and made it from maybe 28 inches to 33 inches. Essentially, the drivers and crew chiefs got together and said, we just need a little bit of a balance shift. We love everything about it. All it did was balance shift the car, I want to say, a little further forward. Whenever you start taking radiator pans away, it takes a little downforce off the nose.
You wouldn't think something under the car like that would make that much of a difference, but hearing guys talk about it, it really does.
The reason an airplane flies is because there's air on top of the wing and below it. Race car acts the same way. There's air under it, there's air on top of it. So when you control or manipulate the air on the bottom, you're giving a differential of pressure on top, and that's what we're controlling with radiator pans. So the little wider radiator pan up front from, I think, 28 to 33 inches shifts the balance a little bit different, which what the crew chiefs and drivers want. But thank you for bringing us this package. Now Goodyear can go to work a little earlier than they could have. They're going to give us a better
teams
tire.
as well.
Teams are going for it. We already have 2 tests planned, one at Atlanta, one at Michigan, with this new package. Some younger drivers, I believe Chris Buescher's going to test. We're going to have Chase Elliott testing. Those guys are testing the 2016 package. We just came from Phoenix, was able to test a little bit for 2016 out there. And every test in the past 3 or 4, we've been testing a little bit with this package. Thank you. Woo!
After talking to your driver and hearing from other drivers along the way, what is it about this package that they like so much?
What we saw at Charlotte was the epitome of what we don't like, and that's easier for me to tell you because anybody that watched Charlotte saw cars equal distance away from the car in front of them or the behind them. And we heard Todd Gordon talk about the bubble, and we mention it all the time. There's an air bubble around these cars in the current configuration that drivers have a hard time breaking through. The car has to be so much more dominant to break through that. The leader has a monumental advantage over a guy behind him. We don't like that. If my car's better, I want to be able to pass you or catch you at least. And right now, we simply have a very difficult time doing that. This package takes air dependency away from these cars. It gives it back to the mechanical guys that are giving grip, the crew chiefs that are doing strategy.
Which is just adjusting chassis or adjusting tire pressure, those type of things.
And the driver who can drive harder and change his line to pick up speed, not solely based on, I stayed out, I didn't take tires, and I'm going to be out front, now I'm going to win the race.
To have clean air on the nose.
Exactly right. So it puts it more back in the control of the drivers and not the aerodynamics persons of the world, the Bernoulli's principle lovers of the world.
Wait, the what?
Yep, Bernoulli principle. Look it up.
You have been looking through your thesaurus this weekend, right?
Google it, Bernoulli's principle.
Okay, I will. You should think about
that's
being
my
a pilot.
on. 2016 low downforce package.
All right, my on is boys have at it because what we've seen last year and this year in the winning means everything era, in the era of win in advance, that guys are taking more chances. Guys are doing things that they might not have done in the era of a strictly 10-race chase where there are not rounds, or an era of strictly race through the season and accumulate points and be consistent. We're seeing things that we haven't seen in past eras, and it gives racing, NASCAR specifically, Sprint Cup Series specifically, an air of what we see in other sports, like the NCAA tournament, survive and advance, like the NFL playoffs, that moment where you have that Game 7 moment in baseball, for example, where it's a do-or-die type moment. We haven't had that type of thing in racing, and now we do. To that end, here's what Matt Kenseth had to say about that incident with Joey Logano yesterday.
Matt, dominant car today, 153 laps led before that late race incident with Logano. What happened from your point of view?
Well, I mean, it's really cut and dried. He just picked my rear tires off the ground and wrecked me, so there's no debate about that one. So, yeah, we had a great Dollar General Camry today. He was a little bit tighter in that long run, or that short run, than I was, and I couldn't get away from him. All day we had him pretty good. I still thought I was going to be able to stay in front of him, saw the lap cars coming, and try getting a couple runs off the top there. And, I was plenty clear, got up in front of him, and he just decided to take us out.
Is this incident wrapped up, or something you're going to need to talk about with Joey?
I don't think there's anything to talk about. I mean, anybody can see what happened. I know what happened. He knows what happened. Everybody watching knows what happened, so I don't think there's really a lot to talk about.
You said no pressure this weekend. What's the pressure like going into Talladega now?
You know, it's the same. There's some things you can control and some things you can't. I thought we did an excellent job this weekend of controlling the things that we could control. We didn't qualify as well as we wanted, but we're good in practice, made great race adjustments, had a really fast car today, really fast pit stops. They stepped it up when needed it. So we did everything as a team to win the race. We just, just couldn't get away enough to keep them from pulling that move on me at the end.
That was our Kim Kuhn yesterday with Matt Kenseth after the race, after the incident with Joey Logano in the closing laps that gave Joey the win. Joey said that Matt was blocking him. Matt said I was doing what I was supposed to do. And my point in this on track is they're both right. They're both doing exactly what they needed to do, how they needed to do it at the time, or how they felt they needed to accomplish their goals at the time. One is unhappy, the other is happy. But these types of moments are, I think, exactly what we've been looking for in terms of this format, in terms of racing in general. It gives us playoff moments.
Almost 1 year and one race ago, last year at Charlotte, there's a very nice highlight reel of a driver tackling another driver between the haulers.
I've seen that.
Yeah. You know why he was mad? Because the guy in front of him was blocking him.
Right.
And he hit the wall, and it ruined his afternoon. So you understand that when you put on your shoes and you put on your pants today, you may not like what you wear tomorrow, but today is your pants. It's your clothes. But when somebody else does the exact same thing or wears the exact same item, it doesn't look good on them. You don't like it because they were your clothes. They were you. That's what you did. Somebody took you. We've said over and over again, it's a very selfish sport.
Yes, it is, and it's interesting to me. We've pointed this out on the show several times, how today's driver might get mad about situation A, but next week when he's faced with situation A or B, he might sing a little bit of a different tune. And I'm not picking on Matt here. We've seen this from a number of different guys
absolutely.
who in a certain situation will say one thing and a different situation will say another thing that don't necessarily agree with each other.
No, we've seen it from, like you say, a number of drivers. We have a double standard, triple standard, whatever, how many different standards. It's all about the best question I was asked on Twitter after the race. What did you think? Who was right or who was wrong? My response was, who was your favorite driver?
Yeah.
Matt Kenseth or Joey Logano? We talked about it earlier in the show. If you're a Matt Kenseth fan, Joey's the worst guy in the world. If you're a Joey fan, Matt doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. Just like I still hear about how we ruined Jeff Gordon's career last year.
I think he's had a pretty good career no matter what you did.
Yes, I agree. But his year for 2014, we ruined it. And then if I hear from Brad fans, he did exactly what he needed to do. It's all about who your driver is. Absolutely. And that's what we like. We enjoy. Everybody, Dale used to say, if people are booing you, that's good.
Yeah.
That means they know who you are.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, let's talk about off track now. What's not going quite so well?
The 2016 low downforce package.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
You just said you liked it.
I love it. We just can't say it's going to fix every problem we have. We're not going to go back to this familiar stat of 4 and 5 wide at the start-finish line. Every race.
Yeah, that's how people seem to remember it.
Right. Let's be realistic when we break out the new rule package for 2016. We're not going to see a difference at Martinsville or Bristol or Daytona or Talladega or Watkins Glen or Sears Point. Those races are going to be essentially the same. We're going to see an improvement over some of the mile-and-a-half tracks. These engineers are going to figure out a way to make our car better than theirs, and we're still going to see cars that are hard to pass. It's what we do for a living.
Yeah.
I don't want the guy behind me to pass, so I'm going to make my car faster. And if I have a faster car, he's not going to pass me regardless of what package we have.
Yeah.
We're going to see it at Talladega this coming weekend. A small variance of cars that can't pass each other. It's not a one-size-fits-all fix. So when we go to 2016, let's keep our expectations realistic, understanding that we're still moving. This is a still moving model. These guys are still creating, and we're going to have rule changes next year. We're going to have tire tests galore next year.
To try and match tires
to make this a better package. We're not going to open up February and have the best racing out of the bat for every track we go to. Simply put, 7 cars aren't going to come across the start-finish line sideways on their roof for the win.
It's a process.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I agree. I think one of the things that was really cool to me first time we ran this package at Kentucky was you could see a faster car drive up behind somebody who was leading him at that moment, loosen him up, and drive by. And that's something to me that has been missing, particularly at the mile-and-a-half tracks for a few years now.
Yeah, one of the things we saw distinctly at Kentucky was the second-place car passed the first, and that guy now running second able to get back by. In today's configuration, that maneuver is very, very, very rare and very difficult.
Yeah.
For the second-place guy to chase down the first and for him to pass each other twice back and forth in the same lap is what we're looking for. We're looking to gain, and this package offers that opportunity.
All right, my off track, I want to take a little bit of a different track here, and I know we've talked about this, and I'm kind of torn about it, so maybe you can help me with this therapy session.
Okay.
My off track is Xfinity Series competition. On Saturday at Kansas, we had Kyle Busch win, leading 56 laps.
No way.
Matt Kenseth finished second, led 148 laps. Those are the only two guys who led a lap in that Xfinity Series race. Joey Logano, another Sprint Cup guy, finishes third. He doesn't lead a lap. We've talked about before, we want the best guys in each race. Track owners want the best drivers, the superstars of the sport in each race. It helps them sell tickets, they say. However, when you see what we talked about last week with attendance being down, is it a situation where some people may not want to buy a ticket because they think, oh boy, Kyle Busch is just going to wax these guys again? You got two Cup guys leading all the laps. I agree that the Xfinity guys want to race them, should be able to race them. If they beat them, it's bragging rights and all that. But I think it's taking something away, and I don't know that I can put my finger on exactly what an answer might be, but I think it's taking something away from the series.
Joey Logano, Sprint Cup driver, has won more races the last 2 years in the Sprint Cup series of any driver at a Team Penske. He didn't lead a lap. Joe Gibbs Racing led all the laps. I'm not taking anything away from Kyle or Matt, but let's give a little credit to the company of Joe Gibbs Racing. Anybody that they seem to stick in their car. We got Daniel Suarez, rookie, phenomenal job all year long of having fast cars and taking care of them. Eric Jones, fantastic job of taking care and being fast. You put the Sprint Cup cars, Sprint Cup drivers in those cars, and they accelerate the learning curve for those other two drivers. But the company as a whole right now is just better than everybody. We have a stranglehold as a company, Team Penske, on the Owners' Championship. We were more successful in the beginning of the year. Joe Gibbs Racing has worked on their cars and gone in a different direction, found more speed than we have. It's not just about the drivers. It's simply saying that Joe Gibbs Racing right now is a better company in the Xfinity Series that we've seen.
Okay, well then what – we've talked about this before on the show several times. What is it that seems to have knocked the bloom off the rose for the Xfinity Series? We've seen some issues with attendance. I think a lot of times when they go, for example, to Iowa and there aren't a bunch of Cup guys in there, we see some of the best racing we've ever seen. As you like to mention, when guys get out of the cars and they're mad afterwards, that means it must have been a good race. How do we get past this? What is the solution? Is there one?
I don't know if there's I don't know if there's a 2016 package. I wish I was more familiar with how they sold tickets. This was a good example of a weekend that I thought we raced on Thursday or Friday that we should have just opened up the grandstands again and get people in. Just open the doors.
And let them come and buy your Cokes and hot dogs.
Just let them come in.
Yeah.
Get them to the racetrack, get those people where they can put their hands on something and smell something and hear something. I had some family members that showed up. Jacob's brother, Nathan, showed up with him and his wife and family. First time race ever. He said it's nothing like he's ever been to, and he can't put words to it because he's watched it on TV for a number of years.
Yeah.
But he went to a race, and now he's kind of hooked even more.
There's something about feeling it, that's for
exactly,
sure.
And that's how we have to get these people. These racetrack owners and operators are not willing to give free. I get it. But we have to have an incentive to get them there to see what it is. And that gets the Xfinity Series more pumped up, gets the younger drivers more time to pursue a goal of making more people happy.
Yeah.
In turn, that makes sponsors happy. And that's where this is going. Sponsors all work on this deal.
Yes, they do.
That's the driving cog, the driving force behind all the success of these younger drivers.
And that's what makes me hesitate about even bringing this up, because we've asked both Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski about putting guys in their car, and they both say, or their truck, and they say, we want to give the younger guys a shot, but a sponsor wants to have Kyle or Brad in it for at least a certain number of races to write that check.
Austin Terrio got hurt in Vegas. Brad owns the team. Do you know who he had to get approval for to put Brian in the truck?
Probably Cooper Standard.
Exactly right, to make sure it worked out, because again, they're the driving force. It's still a family, it's still a team, but you want to make sure the sponsors are happy and can coordinate with your decisions. Brad, Kyle, these guys drive trucks to get sponsors in to give kids an opportunity in other races, simply put.
All right, we got a little bit of time left, very little, heading to Talladega, where guys will be facing the situation they didn't want to be in.
Nobody.
Having to go to Talladega with some sense of desperation.
I'm nervous. I talked to Michael Nelson, who's management at Team Penske this morning on the way in. I will have sleepless nights until Sunday afternoon. Everybody that I've talked to that's involved on our chart from second all the way down to 12th will be sleepless, nervous, worried about what we can do to get better. The bottom line is we just have to go and race. It sounds really simple when I say it that way, but I know I'm mental myself. I will be thinking about this race and what I can do and how I can prevent being the bad guy. I don't want to be the Michigan punter. I don't want to be that guy.
Wow, did you just go there?
I don't want to be him.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to be him. We all
I
saw
got you.
that. They had their game one, muff punt, boo, they lose the race. I don't want to be that guy. Neither do the 11 other spotters that need a win.
Absolutely. All right, Saturday, the Motor Racing Network will have the Fred's 250 powered by Coca-Cola Camping World Truck Series, 12:30 Saturday afternoon. And then on Sunday, the CampingWorld.com 500 Sprint Cup race, beginning at 1:30 on the Motor Racing Network. For Joey Meier, I'm Woody Cain saying we'll see you right back here next Monday.
You've been listening to MRN Motorsports Monday. Tune in again next Monday at noon for all the latest news, results, and interviews from NASCAR on MotorRacingNetwork.com. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand at the MotorRacingNetwork.com Media Center or download it from iTunes or Stitcher. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.